right, it's 10 minutes out to the, actually 11 out to the hour of 8 o'clock, 94.9 News Now, and stimulating. This sounds like a little hee-haw music here. Where do we get the hee-haw music? I'm not really sure. Anyway, it is 11 after the hour of 8 o'clock. Sitting across from me is the one and only congressional, well, that's not true now, there's two.
It's supposed to be 3.
Yeah, congressional candidate for the Republican Party, District 2 here in the state of Connecticut, Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh. Lori, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, I'm great. I'm great.
So, let me ask you, let's start with this. I'm going to torpedo you because
Torpedo me.
we didn't talk about this off the air. How does it change your campaign when there's other people involved? Does it change?
No, it actually inspires me and makes me stronger. It really does. And
right.
You know, what's great about it is to see the crowd react. When you go to an RTC meeting, there's 50, 100 people sitting before you and watching the reactions to the candidates. And
right.
I'm not traveling around just by myself. We've got Tom Foley, we've got Lumage, all these different candidates that are trying to impress upon the people listening to select them as the candidate of choice. And I hope to accomplish that, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
Are you traveling like in a troop of folks? I mean, you.
I have road warriors with me. Yes,
yeah, but are you going to these events with Foley, with Lumage, with these other people, or are they just different times, different places, so to speak?
They show up wherever their schedule allows them to show up, and I do as well.
But you're not going as a team.
No. I have a team traveling with me, but no.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is because I don't know if you saw the Capitol report this morning, but apparently the Martha Dean announcement came with a big giant thud. There was 10 people at her initial speech the other day at a bunch of empty chairs. So I don't know if you're on board with Foley, if that's part of your
I can't be on board with anyone. I can make, observations about
sure.
the campaign, but Foley, he has some advantages that are undeniable, and that is that he almost won that election, and if it were not for voter fraud, probably, he would have been the governor of Connecticut.
You can thank Susan Weiss for that.
Well, we can thank, the fact that we have a weak Secretary of the State who will not enforce voter fraud problems, that
sure.
will not change the, and we're in for a rude awakening in 2014 because now it's same-day registration.
No, I know. Well, last time, if you remember, it was like the 6 or they ran out of ballots in Bridgeport, and
they went on to use the 911.
Yeah, Susie Weiss, which didn't really to get that. Well, it was a mess.
But they were going. The Democrats were going door to door, and really the voter fraud was established quite clearly. They were going door to door and signing people up to vote, to register to vote, and they were filling out the forms for the people and putting them in the mailbox. That's illegal.
Right. All right. Well, listen.
Yeah.
Well, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the whole idea that the way we vote in this country, considering the technology that we have, is so archaic. It's mind blowing that we don't have more of that.
Well, I think we should have state IDs. I don't believe in a national ID, but I do believe in state IDs, so that people have to register in the state, because I'm a Connecticuter.
What's the difference then between having it?
You were talking about the Constitution
yeah.
and amendments and the changes to the Constitution. Well, the 14th Amendment, creating us as citizens of the United States versus citizens of the states.
Right.
That had a major impact on, forming a different type of government than was established by the Constitution originally.
Are you for that or against that?
Well, I don't believe in a government that's an autocracy, and we're headed towards that. The president is taking more and more powers away from Congress and the lawmakers that we send to D.C., and that is a big problem. And we can see how the 14th Amendment is going to be used by President Obama to justify his executive orders and take more power.
Well, Scalia actually, I don't know if you got a chance to watch that.
I did not, and I tried to tune in this morning, but the sound wasn't good, so I'm dying to see it. I would have loved to have been there last night.
He was great. He actually mentioned, certain similar to what you're talking about how the senators originally they were voted on. The states voted for the senators. In other words, the states sent the senators as representatives to Congress to vote on their behalf, but now it's completely different. Now, of course, the people elect the senators, and now since that time, we've gone straight downhill as far as representation. The states lose power every single time. because of that.
Did you see Trey Gowdy's his presentation to the House on Obama's powers?
I did.
Wasn't that impressive?
Great.
I'm going to watch it again and again and again and again. I loved it. I thought it was great.
All right, well, listen, Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh is here. We'll talk about more pressing issues as far as your everyday life out there. If you'd like, the number is 860-464-9490, 631-317-1949. You can send me an email, lee@949newsnow.com. You can throw a message up on Facebook. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll continue with Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh here in the studio. It's 94.9 News Now and Stimulating Talk. All right, it's 21 after the hour of 8 o'clock. We've got Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh till the end of the show. Our phone numbers are 860-464-9490, 631-317-1949. Questions about her run, her congressional run, of course, against Joe Courtney. And we're going to take our first call here. Candace is joining us. Candace wants to talk Common Core. Candace, good morning. You're on with Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh. Go ahead.
Good morning, Candace. Thank you. Well, I know that they're just pushing this as hard as they can, spending all of our taxpayer dollars on this $16 billion boondoggle of nationalized education, which is just collapsing around them, and they refuse to see the writing on the wall, and that is just it's another waste of our taxpayer dollars. That's it. That's why we can't afford the middle class is being destroyed, because they take our money and they spend it on this useless program that is not going to do anything to help our children. Nothing. These standards, this curriculum is going to be a failure, just like it has been with public education for years now. It's unfortunate. I believe the superintendent of schools of East Lyme resigned. He wrote a 4-page letter specifying the fact that he is resigning because of Common Core state standards. And I believe East Lyme had a 4.8% increase in their education budget due to Common Core, and it's an unfunded mandate, just another unfunded mandate. And it's not about helping our children, empowering our parents, or providing choice in our communities. It's about control, like everything that this administration and an increasingly autocratic federal government is doing. We're headed towards complete control of every aspect of our lives, including our children's minds, and that's what Common Core is. Well, I did hear Mr. Chouanier, and I have to say that my chances of being endorsed by the day are slim to none, and I would say none, because pretty much every opinion that he has, I'm the antithesis of that opinion. And so that's where we stand with the press, unfortunately. And being a conservative woman, I've already been seeing the results of this campaign with the Norwich Bulletin. So the press is not going to be on my side. I'm going to walk with the people. I'm a middle class candidate. I'm not the establishment of Republican that has been put forth as a candidate year after year after year now. And I'm getting tremendous support out there, and I hope you join. If you go to LoriForCongress.com, sign up. If you can stuff envelopes, put up signs, whatever you can do, donate. We need money. Please visit the website.
Candace, I thank you for the call, and I thank you for the conversation about Common Core. I'll leave you with this, and maybe you can explain it better to me. Shouldn't there be a minimum, I don't know, you want to call it a minimum amount of education level that these kids should have to attain, with math skills, science skills, English skills, across the board? You don't believe that there should be any minimum?
No, absolutely there should.
All right, so.
But that's not what this is.
Well, Common Core is supposed to put some sort of a baseline.
They've always had baselines. They've always had testing. You were tested when you were 5 years old. This is just garbage.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is
this is absolute garbage.
I'm asking the question. You're not against there being, in other words, there should be.
Am I against testing? No.
The way you teach math in Utah, it should be the same as you teach math in Connecticut.
I think math is the perfect example of a standard approach, but this math curriculum is a failure. There is actually a symptom that psychologists in New York State have identified as a Common Core syndrome, where children are going crazy because of the way they're teaching Common Core math, because it's not, they're not, this curriculum in math was not designed to to teach what a student is capable of learning at a specific age, and to put it, you know, there's so many examples of this. You can go on the internet and look at some of these questions, and you just sit there and say, oh my God, how can they be teaching like this? And the kids can't handle it. The parents are pulling their kids out of school. It's a disaster.
Well, the question, I guess, then is what I'm trying to get to is, I'm not saying I'm for Common Core. I read those questions, and a lot of those in both.
They're funny, aren't they?
It's a little bit out there.
It's out there, yeah.
There should be some. You're not against having some minimum standard for these kids. Just because they live in a different part of the country doesn't mean that they shouldn't be taught the same way on certain things. I think, you know, if you have something that works.
Math and science, I have no problem with that. I have a big problem with the federal government determining what type of history, different types of indoctrination methodology that will allow children to be taught how to think, or what to think, I should say.
Right.
When you talk about math and science, that's a totally different,
okay.
You know, the approach is a failure too.
I think sometimes, I guess, sometimes people think if you're against having, and Common Core is a bad example, but if you're against kids being taught the same way on certain subjects, you know, you're trying to.
But wait a second, there's a flaw in that concept though, Lee, and that is that all kids learn the same. One size fits all approach to any type of education for children is wrong, because every child's mind is different and they develop at different levels. So the more you constrict a teacher from teaching to the individual and want to teach to the common denominator, then you've lost education totally.
No, but math in Harlem is the same as math in Oregon.
Absolutely. Like I said, math and science is a little bit different.
We're on board. We're on the same page.
Thank God, huh?
We'll take a quick break. Bottom of the hour is coming. We'll come back. We'll hit some of the national issues. Phone lines are open. You can call in and talk to Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh. Stick around. It's 94.9 News Now. All right, Lori, we're talking off the air as Wendy takes these phone calls, and then we'll get back to some other phone calls after we get a winner here. But we're talking off the air about taxes and a flat tax and, you know, deductions, and I'm getting ready to sit down and do my own taxes, and I'm going to throw my desk out the window probably when I'm done. You know, how do you talk to the average everyday citizen? You're going out, you're on the campaign trail. People are struggling every single day. Now they got to reach into their pocket again to pay Uncle Sam more money, depending upon what tax bracket they're in. I mean, 25, 30. By the time you pay your state and local taxes, you're talking about 50% of your paycheck gone. How do you fix it?
Well, I mean, it's stealing. We're sending our hard-earned tax money to D.C. where it is wasted, and it is spent in manners that we don't agree with. And this is it has to stop. Number one, we need a balanced budget amendment. And Courtney has consistently voted against that. We need to make sure that our spending, we're not spending more than we take in. And then as far as what we take in D.C., what they should be paying for is specifically what the federal government was allowed to be, the services that they were allowed to have in the Constitution, that we gave them. For example, protection. The federal government is there to protect us. So they should be able to tax enough to pay for that service. But we're paying for services that are not in the Constitution. We don't need an IRS. If we have a flat tax, if we have a simple tax system in this country, then it will be fair, and it will also provide enough to pay for the federal government. But the IRS, the Department of Education, there's so much pork.
Department of Energy. There's countless.
It's just, you see, 2nd Congressional District in Connecticut, 64 towns and cities, trail Connecticut in economic growth. Connecticut trails the entire country. We're at the bottom of the bottom here. And Courtney, his 4th term should be his last term. And basically, I want to go down to D.C. and I want to help pass a balanced budget amendment, and that's a start, because you have to restrain these lawmakers down there. You have to restrain them, and then we need to fix the tax code.